6,000, and then you can divide that by 12 and divide it out into months and say, I predict from January through the end of March, I'm only going to have a total of, let's say, 3% market share out of that whole 20. Okay? Then you could do the April through December, and that's the rest of the market share. You could look at it that way based on the total demand with your market share divided by 12 and kind of see if you wanted to take that into account. Or do a weighted average of the 3 months market share and then the rest of them.
So I'm going to ask it in production, or I can ask it now. The same production forecast comes into play, because production especially...
Well, production will be based off of your sales forecast, so it really won't matter. As long as your sales forecast is set based on the idea of a low market share first 3 months, higher market share for the rest of the year, then you base your production schedule off that sales forecast.
But does that have any impact on capacity? Because what I've seen is, for instance, you have 800 capacity at 100. Because the product only comes to the market in July, it doesn't give you the 100. Suddenly
No, he's talking about a product that's already established. If a product is not established, it's a new product, and you only have 6 months to market, yes, it will not allow you to produce a full year of production. It will only allow you to produce 6 months of that initial 800. But in his case, if it's an established one, there's no issue with capacity. You plan your production schedule around that sales forecast with that lower sales forecast the first 3 months. Okay?
As far as marketing, I can't remember if this is available or not, but if you go into R&D and you're doing a new product, does it make sense to start marketing that a little bit
No.
the year before it comes out?
No.
For awareness?
No. The question was, should you market a product the year before it comes out? No. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You're just throwing good money away.
And that's the sales.
That's the sales or promo, it doesn't matter. The idea was you put money into a product in either the promo or the sales budget the year before it comes out. No, don't do that, you're just wasting money.
So the year before it comes out is essentially the year that you added it for the first time in market.
Correct, unless it's a high-tech product, which technically in later rounds might be 2 years later. Okay.
I did confirm that when you do have more than one product that is considered in that market, that your sales budget, whether you have different budgets for those two products,
Is equal.
you're still going to have the same accessibility.
Accessibility, okay, well, good. That's good to know.
So wait.
In other words, he's saying that you plan $4 million for 2 products in low tech. It's split. It's $2 million and $2 million. Even if you put $2,200,000 into one and $1,800 into another, it's basically just going to be automatic. It's $4 million for the sales budget for 2 products.
So if you put 4 million and 0,
Then it's split.
It's still
Yeah,
split.
still
It's
split.
So you don't always have to put the numbers, the same numbers in twice.
within the segment.
No, you
Within the
have
low
to,
tech,
because
or
if you
whatever.
don't, then you're going to only
What if it
spend
crosses
$2 million,
segments?
and it's going to be split
Huh?
between 2
What if it
products.
crosses segments?
Yeah,
Just
I don't know.
go ahead with the same procedure.
I think you'll still have the same accessibility within that.
Don't
segment
change anything.
As far as what it.
As the other product in that segment.
3 million?
Yes.
So you
It's
get-
assuming
That's
more than one
in
product.
other words, $3 million is the max point for your sales budget or promo budget, for that matter. And if we're low high tech or low tech, and that's when you hit diminishing returns.
So it doesn't make sense.
Hold on, sorry, she has hand up.
Why is it that sometimes, for instance, you're investing promo 1,500 and somebody else is investing 1,500, and yet the percentage of the promo is awareness are not the same?
Because they've been investing longer or you've been investing longer. Yes. Now, if you start in round 5 and say, now I'm really gonna throw money in here, it's gonna be a slower battle to get it up higher than those individuals who started right from the very beginning.
Does the promo split bigger?
No.
No.
My question is this, if you're introducing a product in whatever, let's say beginning of round 1,
Okay.
you can invest a promo budget in Able because that product already exists, so that makes sense. However, it wouldn't make any sense to invest a promo budget in product number 2.
That's correct.
Because that's not even gonna come out until round 3, I guess.
That's right,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Don't invest in a product
That's just
before
money
it
down
comes
the
out.
drain.
It's yellowed out, right?
Yeah, you can't.
Is it yellowed out?
Yeah.
Okay, well then it's yellowed out, you can't do anything.
But, so, Chrissy asked the question, does the promo budget split too?
No.
And you said no,
No.
David said, what does that mean?
In other words, if you take Able and Ace,
Yeah,
okay, low-tech products for the sales, and I put two million into Able, and I put 2.5 million into Ace. Basically, that's a total of 4,500, which shouldn't do any of this, just nothing. It's not gonna give 2,500 to Ace and 2 million to Able. It's going to add it up, and whatever, 4,500,000 is gonna split it down the middle between the two products.
For that segment.
For the
Because they're in the same
sales.
segment.
For that segment.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I said low-tech product.
Yeah, okay.
But just for sales. It does not do that for the promo. Okay, if you put 2 million into Able for promo and 2.5 million into Ace for promo, that's what they get.
and why wouldn't you just split it anyway? Like, why wouldn't you just say, I wanna give 1,000 to this?
You can, that's what I'm saying, it's not, just do what you need to keep doing. You've been probably doing it fine. He's just a little bit more into all of this than, yes, questions?
Say again what you said about diminishing returns, because in that.
At 3 million,
You start to
at
get
3
that.
million, you begin to get diminishing marginal returns for your product.
Does promo have the same?
For
Yes.
promo or
Both.
For both. Yeah, for both.
So it, I guess that translates to, do not exceed 1,500 for both,
Right.
in my, no,
In your
your
mind,
mind.
Well,
That's,
that's more of a per product number, right?
I think it's a total.
No,
Is
it
it a per
means
product?
if you have 2 products, it's 1,500, if you have
No,
4
I know,
products.
No, I know what you're
diminishing
saying.
returns,
Well, that's a good one. Why
It's per
don't you
product. No, no,
call
it's
and
not.
ask?
I know it's not.
Well, why don't you call and ask anyway, and then send an email out to everybody, just to verify.
Don't need to. I
Well,
can
just do it anyway, so that they know that CAPSIM has said.
What are they asking you to do?
No, he's gonna do something for you, and he's gonna send out a mass email so that everybody knows. It's on his list to do. I'll keep up with
I
it.
may not
Keep
get it.
You
I'll
will
do it
do
until,
it
like,
to, you will do
July
it,
21st.
no, you're gonna do it tomorrow,
Hey Nathan,
and I will follow
I
up with
think
you.
the
That
answer
works.
is in the small print on page 12.
Is it?
Yeah, you just have to look at the small print underneath the graphs.
Good, good. There you
Okay,
go.
Page 12, small print under graphs. Okay, questions about marketing? Yes.
Price, is that an art or a science?
Well, half and half. Okay, the bottom line is that, yes, you have a certain range that you have to follow when you're in the high-tech and low-tech. High-tech, for Nathan, who has figured out a little strategy with it, who I will not release to the class, he's playing with fire. However, it's okay, there's certain little details of this game that if you play long and hard enough with it, you can manipulate things, and it's very
Nice.
bad gameplay. Which he already knows that he will get a 0 on this assignment if he continues that further.
I think you just found out.
Just don't do it on round 8.
No, I told him that. No, it's throughout the whole game. He knows what he's talking about. No, it's not cheating, it's strategizing.
It's finding a
No,
whole.
no. All right, go ahead. Get a 0. I'll let you. I really did it right to change your grade. I feel like. And Nathan's on my hit list. So, in other words, with a high-tech product, obviously, it is a range, but you don't want a low price. Because those people on their list of buying criteria, the price is not important to them. So keep it high. It's a high-margin product. They're willing to pay a higher price. Now, with the low-tech, yeah, it's really kind of based on a little science, a little art, in that you want to keep an eye on what your competition is doing. If they're reducing their price and you're not, then you need to really look at that and change that. You know, my kind of guesstimate is that that price should come down for a low-tech product, probably between 25 to 50 cents each round. you're not reducing the price for the low tech, then, you're gonna lose some of those sales away to your competition.
It may seem like common sense, but, you don't wanna reduce your price lower than what it costs you to make it.
Well, yeah, that too.
Just a suggestion.
You do have to go and look at your, balance sheet,
So
and
that's
your
the
overall
science.
numbers, and that is the science part, yeah. You got a cost benefit analysis that you do, and obviously you can try to reduce your costs through increased automation, lower MTBF.
of contribution margin starts as points.
That's right. Well, not even just points, just in other words, obviously your price is probably lower than it should be, and/or your costs, material and labor, are too high. So what can you do to reduce those? You increase automation, and you reduce your MTBF for a low-tech product. Okay?
So Matt, this is where the relationship between marketing and production and HR kind of come in, right? To your point about the obvious, you kind of have to.
Right, well, you have to make sure that you look at your labor costs and your material costs, and make sure,
Correct.
you have to add them together, because I haven't found a place that really shows you that
It has
usually
total
online.
unit cost though. in
That's,
the-
in production, doesn't take in, maybe it does, I didn't notice it.
We shouldn't use that value?
I would I'd validate it with your own calculation.
Oh, we're not there.
Sorry, I got kicked out.
We're not there.
Well, no, I'm going there. Any other questions for marketing as I log back in?
So just as a note, the benchmark, we actually try not to go over the benchmark.
Yes.
That's a suggestion.
Thanks, buddy.
Don't ever go over the benchmark, okay? I'm just telling you now. The idea is, it is like a pro forma. It tells you how well you're going to do without any competitor decision. Meaning, if you were to operate in this market by yourself, yes, that's how much you would sell. But guess what? Your competition will sell their products. They will do different things. They will change prices. They will take away some of your market share.
So it's like, it turned out for me to be like 25 to 30% every time.
Less.
Less than
Yes,
what I.
correct.
It's
And
like
that's
25 to
a great,
30%.
that's a great number to look. Lola, put your hand down, listen to the man's question.
So it always.
I'm telling you, she's like full speed ahead. That benchmark, and I can promise you, 9 times out of 10, it'll essentially be 20% less than that benchmark number.
Because that's how much, I always had ending inventory, because I took it as gospel, and that's what you told me, it's like, I took it as like gospel, I was like, well,
Is
if
that
it
what she
says.
told you?
Yeah, she literally said that. So,
I told you to take it as
no,
gospel?
you told me that I took it as gospel, and I shouldn't
Oh.
have done that.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And so, technically, I always had like 20% more inventory than I was supposed to. I always had inventory left over, which is about 20 to 25%, because I always took it for a fact. It's like,
She gave that.
So to that point, what's the rule of thumb? Is the rule of
25%
thumb
less.
planning not to double it? So we got that.
Well, clearly not to meet it either.
So the
Probably go about
20%
20% less.
less.
Now, see, had you been listening to me instead of typing so quickly and not listening to the question, then you would have known that. All right, last question.
But in the first round, you have more demand, you have high tech and low tech, you can go above that and still sell out. So,
No, and again, yes, there are certain exceptions to the rule. He was talking about when your product operates in 2 segments
First round.
in the first round. But after that, again, if you're looking at the definition of this, it does not use your actual competitor products. It's useful for experimenting with price, promo, and sales budget. It is useless for forecasting. Right? So, did you read that, Greg?
When I saw mediocre playing field, I was like, yeah, my product is good. It's better than mediocre.
So you didn't read beyond where it says it is useless for forecasting. That last sentence.
Oh no, that's all. It's useful for experimenting.
You just stopped reading after that.
He stopped reading.
You said useful when he was done.
Again, it is a guideline, but you're normally going to operate about 20% less. All right, production. Now, one part, and we're going to talk about this in actually a few minutes. The HR component for foundation is turned off. You do not have to worry about that because I don't believe in making you go through something before you've actually gone through it in the classes. This is the HR semester. So that's one of the reasons why you're not currently going through this. You will go through this as a team in Capstone next spring. Some of you will learn to kill each other. Some of you will be okay. HR seems to be a point of contention for a lot of people. I don't know why.
Let them strike.
But this is off. So don't worry about that. The numbers won't change. All right. Okay, but again, you do have to deal with production, or the production piece for your products. How many of you forgot to buy capacity for a product that you introduced? Okay, you're waving it. How many of you will not forget that lesson in competition? Okay. It is. It's a great lesson. And I know you're like, I don't like to struggle, but that is a perfect lesson to learn, to know, because you'll never make that mistake in competition. You will be very diligent. When you put that product into R&D, you'll immediately go in and buy capacity. Immediately.
How many people double their capacity when they meant to reduce it?
Actually, I've never heard of that.
I did that.
Oh, come on.
That's a great way to go.
All right, I want to take a slight minute and kind of show you that capacity issue. Because one of the things that you got easily is the demand. You did the situation analysis, you know what your demand is for every single round. But do you know your supply? I mean, it is economics, right?
Oh, it is?
I mean, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy like that, so. Lost my cookie. And I'm going to make this available in Moodle, so if you don't follow completely with what I'm doing, I'm going to have it available.
You're gonna make what available?
I'm going to show you. Just relax. It is a method for finding out supply. Now, this is something that will need to be done each round because supply will change. But let me pick on Greg again. And I'll take round 4. Okay? I won't actually look at it. But Rick, you were asking about prices. My goodness, 1,292. Holy crap. You were asking about pages to concentrate on. The production analysis page is another great one to look at because it will show you what your inventory is as well as how much you sold and your competitors. It will also show you if your competitors are trying to introduce a new product. Okay? So you can kind of see how supply is changing. It does not look for round 5, this is round 4, for round 5 that any competitors nor Greg is introducing a new product. So supply is not going to change from round 4 to round 5. But how do we know what supply is?
Wait a second, what crystal ball are you looking into to see that?
It's not up there.
It'll show
It'll
up.
show you that. It'll show you a new name.
There'll be.
Oh, okay, I see.
There you go.
Okay.
It'll show you a new name. So I know crystal ball.
You were finding something in there that.
It shows me no new name, so I know that nobody's introducing a new product for round 5.
Got it, I'm with you.
And therefore, supply isn't going to change from round 4 to round 5. But how do I find supply? Well, these neat little fast tracks are actually Excel documents. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it. Okay? Again, I'm going to include this in Moodle. So for those of you who are not following completely, I'm going to let you know. All I do is open up an Excel spreadsheet. I copy it and I paste it. Okay? So I know exactly. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
No, seriously.
It is, wow. It's just an Excel spreadsheet, just copy and paste. Well, that's great. All right, so you got the name of the product, whether it's a high-tech or low-tech, how much was sold, how much is in inventory, revision date, age, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Then you've got this fancy schmancy number here, which is what? The capacity. Now, is that the capacity of the first shift or the second shift?
For the entire.
First shift. All right, keep that in mind. If I'm looking at supply for the future, do I care about the units sold in this round? No. I'm going to get rid of it. Do I care about inventory? Yes, because it will carry over. I don't care about the date or the age or the price or anything like that. This is plant utilization. I don't care about that. But I would care about the first shift capacity, correct? Because that's the amount of supply that's available. So in order to determine supply, I essentially only need two numbers: inventory and first shift capacity. I can then determine what the supply in the market is going to be for the next round.
Wouldn't you also look at
No.
what they're doing plant utilization wise?
No.
If they're doing
No.
multiple shifts?
No,
Why would,
because that has nothing to do with the amount of supply. It doesn't. I mean, you just want to look at a number to see how much supply is available in that next round. So it doesn't matter how much they're using, you know a total number. That's what you're looking at first.
Okay,
This
so
is what we're doing.
when we're talking about supply, it sounds to me like you're making the assumption that they're gonna use 100% of their first shift.
Can I finish with the thing first?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the whole concept.
Okay, can we go through the concept? I've got to get through something to be able to get to the next step, okay? Y'all jump ahead too much. All right, then what I need to do with this, because this is total supply in the market, okay, or getting there, but it's not supply in a given segment, all right? So what I'm going to do is first separate out I'm going to sort, okay, and I want to sort by column low. Okay? I don't know why it's giving me problems.
You could put the headers in there.
No, I've never had a header in this. I've never had to. No, you can, but I've never had to. Okay, so I've now separated them out into low tech and high tech. And let me add another little space in here. Okay, now, I would then do what to this? Since I've separated into high tech and low tech, what's the next step?
Double the first shift capacity.
Well, for the high, you have to add all that together, right? Because that's what you do.
That step right before that. You have to do something before you add.
Gotta double
Well,
the-
you have it.
You gotta double the first shift, because this is a first shift, not a second shift. So all I'm doing is taking this, multiplying it times 2, and I'll pull this down, okay? And so now, I would add it up, that's correct. I take my inventory, and I take my second shift capacity, oops, gotta put a number in here, and my second shift capacity, okay? And then I add that, and then what do I do to those? And then I would sum those up. Okay? So I know that the total amount available to me, excuse me, not available in the market for supply of high-tech products for round 5 is 6,919. I can then compare that to the total demand. Okay? It's just one tool to be able to look at whether supply is greater than demand in the market. Because if supply is less than demand, then everybody's going to stock out essentially. And what's going to happen to price? It's going to go up. And that's what I mean by tools. Without looking at anything else, you have a good picture. Now, supply is substantially higher than demand.
Price will go down.
Okay? Price will go down, but you don't know by how much. then you can start to implement certain plant utilization tools. In other words, those that are really working that second shift capacity or higher plant utilization percentage, those competitors are really producing the product. That's not good enough though either, because you also have to look at how good their product is. Because it doesn't matter how much you're producing, if your product's not good, you're not going to sell. So if you've got somebody like Vicky, who consistently churns out a very good product and churns out a good plant utilization score, then that's somebody to contend with. Okay? If you look at that top competitor and see what they're doing and how they're doing it, then that's when you want to bring in those other pieces. This is the start of where you need to go. This will need to be done for every single round if you really want to know what the supply is, because it will change as new products come
And
out.
this is for production,
Production, supply in the market.
so that you can decide how much to actually produce.
No, this is total supply of high-tech products in the market. This is not based on what you want to produce. This is just an idea of, again, it might go into, it might help you decide what price is. It might help you decide how to modify your product in terms of you've got a, let's see, you've got a, who's the highest there? You've got, oh wait, that's you. You've got a Ella at 800 capacity, okay, who's basically got 1,600. It's not to say that he's going to use all of that or produce all of that. I mean, unless you're great, you actually would. But what you could say is that capacity is there. You've got an oversupply in the market. If it's greater than demand, price is probably going to start to come down a little bit. I need to modify my behavior as such. It's that base level rough estimate to start moving up the ladder in terms of analysis.
What goes into the calculation of productive plant, whatever?
The plant utilization
Yeah.
score is based on your first shift capacity and how much of your second shift capacity you're using. So in other words, what's a good plant utilization percentage?
100%.
180.
180. Good answer, good answer. And why 180?
Because you still have the ability to produce more.
If you get to 200%, that's telling, or 198, it's telling you you have used both your first shift and second shift capacity, and you have no more capacity to produce. That 180 number is a good number because it says you're using your first shift capacity plus a great percentage of your second shift. But it should also be an indication for what? To buy capacity. Okay? If you reach above that 180% in one round, you better say, I need to immediately go and buy some capacity because in the next round I'm going to be stuck and I'm going to stock out.
Because expectations grow, sales numbers.
But the lower the better
increment.
in that, or do you want to be right at close to 180?
Wouldn't being at 100
Wait,
give you a
I-
better outcome?
I never said lower.
No, I said, what is it calculated? You said you want it to be at 180.
No, I said it's based on your first shift capacity and your second shift.
But what I'm asking is, a lower, the more you're under 180, meaning the more you're producing with just your first shift, by buying that extra capacity, the better off you are.
No. You want to be, well, I mean, you've got a small range, but you don't want to be at 100%. It says you're not utilizing your plant effectively. You want to be able to use your second shift.
You would be over.
So you want to be about 180. If you're at 170, okay. But if you're getting to 190, you're not paying attention to your capacity numbers. And in that next round, you're going to end up stocking out because you're not going to have enough to produce. Okay? So in other words, go ahead. If you reach around 180 or a little bit above that, buy capacity for the next round.
So, just because the way CAPSIM scores us is to be around that 180, and not, because in my mind, it's like, you don't want to use the second shift, because you're paying more, it costs more to produce a product, so if you can produce within the first shift, keeping it around 90%, then this is the best plant utilization you could have.
Okay, but at the same time, you're you're stocking out because you're not producing what your customers want. So which is a higher
Well,
benefit?
if you keep buying capacity to produce enough capacity with your first shift, and that was more of a CAPSIM question, so.
Well,
we're
and then your
scoring
contribution
their
margin goes
expectations.
down, okay? You're not utilizing your plant correctly, you're not utilizing it efficiently. Basically, you've got all this space and all these workers you've hired that you're not
working
using.
the second shift, so the fact that it costs more to produce offsets.
That's correct. There are more benefits than costs.
Does, the products in the same segment share capacity utilization, or you have to use capacity for each product?
No, you have capacity for each product. Let's see.
I'm sorry, my last question on this is, this is true if your sales forecast states that you need more, right? Because I don't personally see that, I don't see that in my sales until like round 5 for me.
Yeah, well,
so-
but you can see it, yes, and it's gonna take a while for that plant utilization percentage to increase.
Right, okay.
But that should be an indication, then that's when it's time to buy capacity.
So for example,
Wait, I'm
I
sorry,
wasn't
you're
done, I'm
still
sorry.
talking.
so in the beginning, I would like to be around 80% before I buy new capacity or something like that, right? Because in reality, you don't really ever want to be at 100% or 200%. You need to be
Stop.
slightly below.
180. Get that number in your head. That's when you want to start to think about buying capacity, not before then. Okay? If you're at 100%, you're not producing enough, you're not selling enough to produce enough. As your sales grow over time, you will be producing more and your plant utilization percentage will grow. That is when it reaches around the 180